The grand hall of the Xerilian palace shimmered with blue crystal lights hanging from tall pillars. Alien leaders from over 30 species had gathered, each hoping for peace. At the center of the crowd stood Cole Hart, the human representative, from Earth. He adjusted his collar nervously. He wasn't a soldier or a hero, just a diplomat with steady nerves and a calm voice. But today, he was about to face something far more complicated than war. Xerilia was the most advanced alien empire in this quadrant of the galaxy. Their technology could rebuild cities in hours and cure diseases humans hadn't even named yet. But their society was bound tightly by ancient laws, many of which Earth still didn't fully understand. Cole had arrived on Xerilia 2 weeks ago to discuss an alliance. Earth needed their support to stop an incoming war with a rogue species, known as the Korthan. The Xerilian Empire had agreed to listen, but only if the negotiation was handled in person. So now, Cole stood before the Xerilian queen, her first daughter, Princess Alrea, and a silent room of galactic officials. "Representative Cole," the queen said, her voice strong yet elegant. "Your speech has been wise, your intentions, honorable. There is one final way to prove your loyalty." Cole blinked. "I'm listening, Your Majesty." The queen turned to her daughter, who stood in a flowing gown of silver and emerald green. Her pale blue skin shimmered under the lights, and her small, elf-like ears twitched slightly with emotion. Alrea took a deep breath and stepped forward. In Xerilian tradition, the strongest bond between worlds is not made through treaties. She paused. But through union, marriage. Gasps echoed across the chamber. Cole's jaw dropped slightly. "Marriage?" Alrea nodded, her voice steady. "To join our worlds, I propose a bond between us. You and I. As husband and wife." The silence in the room was deep and long. Even the smallest creatures in the corner had stopped moving. Cole's brain raced. Was this real? He hadn't trained for this. He glanced around. Earth had sent him here to avoid war, to bring peace. If rejecting the offer made Earth seem weak, the Korthan might attack sooner. If he accepted, everything would change, but maybe peace would finally be possible. He turned back to Alrea. "I accept." A cheer rose through the room. Xerilian nobles stood and clapped, and ambassadors of other races whispered in awe. A union between human and Xerilian royalty? No one had expected that. The queen raised her hand. "Then it shall be done. The wedding will take place in 7 days." But before the crowd could settle, a voice echoed from behind the queen's throne. "Wait!" A tall figure stepped forward from the shadows. Her armor was sleek, not decorative. Her expression was not joy, but fury. She looked like a warrior, not a princess, and her eyes, sharp, silver, and burning, locked onto Cole. It was Kaelra, Alrea's younger sister. "You forgot something," Kaelra said, looking directly at her mother. "Tell him the law." The queen's face tightened. Cole frowned. "What law?" Kaelra stepped beside her sister, standing tall. "Xerilian Union, Law, Section 42, Code of Royal Marriages. If the firstborn royal marries, and her closest unmarried sister is of age, the chosen spouse must marry her too." The room gasped again. Even some of the elder council members whispered in confusion. Cole looked to Alrea for an answer. She nodded softly, guilt in her eyes. "It's true." Cole was stunned. "You're saying I have to marry both of you?" "Yes," Kaelra said firmly. "Galactic law demands it." After the meeting ended, Cole was escorted to his guest quarters. The guards remained silent, and he didn't ask questions. His thoughts spun too fast. 2 brides, one diplomatic, the other a warrior who clearly didn't want to be part of this. Later that evening, there was a knock. When Cole opened the door, he found Kaelra standing there, arms crossed. "You don't know what you've agreed to, do you?" she said. He stepped aside and let her in. "Enlighten me." Kaelra paced the room like a caged animal. "This law hasn't been used in centuries. It was made during wartime when royal families married multiple partners to spread political influence. Now, it's just a forgotten rule. but it's still on the books. So, why not change it? Cole asked. Because doing that now would offend the Elder Council. They see this law as sacred, breaking it might undo the alliance, which means... She looked at him, frustration in her eyes. We're stuck. Cole nodded slowly. Do you hate humans? She was silent for a moment. No. I hate being treated like a prize. I trained to be a soldier, not someone's second wife. I didn't ask for this either, Cole replied calmly. But I'm not here to control you. I just want peace. Kelra's eyes narrowed. Then let's make a deal. You stay out of my way and I'll do what the law requires. Nothing more. Before Cole could respond, she turned and left. That night, Cole sat by the window and looked out at the twin moons of Zerelia. He had come here to speak words, not wear rings. But now, everything had changed. And somewhere deep in his mind, a question kept rising. What if this impossible situation was the very thing that could unite not just two sisters, but two worlds? He didn't know yet, but soon he would find out. The next morning, Cole woke up to the sound of gentle music echoing through the halls. It was the traditional Zerelian morning song, sung by unseen choirs in the palace. Outside, birds with crystal wings flew past the window. Everything looked calm and beautiful, but Cole's mind was still heavy from the events of the night before. He had agreed to marry Princess Alrea. That part, he could understand. It was for peace. But now, because of an old law, he had to marry her sister Kelra too, a woman who clearly wanted nothing to do with him. Cole sighed and rubbed his forehead. Galactic politics, he muttered. Later that day, he was called to meet Alrea in the royal garden. It was a quiet space filled with glowing plants and soft purple grass. Alrea sat on a bench near a small waterfall, her long hair tied behind her shoulder. When she saw him, she smiled warmly. Cole, she said, standing to greet him. He nodded, politely. Princess, she gave him a gentle look. You can call me Alrea now. We're engaged, remember? He smiled slightly. Hard to forget. They sat together on the bench. The sound of water helped calm his thoughts. I'm sorry for what happened yesterday, Alrea said softly. I should have told you about the law. Why didn't you? She looked down at her hands. Because I thought maybe the council would ignore it or Kelra would refuse, but she didn't. Cole nodded. She doesn't like this. Or me. It's not about you, Alrea said quickly. She's always been different, stronger, louder. She never liked being part of royal duties. She trained with warriors instead of diplomats. She never wanted a throne or a husband. Cole leaned back. Then why is she going through with it? Alrea sighed. Because she respects tradition even if she disagrees with it. She would never let our people think we disrespected the law. Cole was quiet for a moment. What do you want me to do? Try to talk to her, Alrea said. You're good with people. Maybe if she hears from you, not as a human, not as a husband, just as a person, she'll understand. That afternoon, Cole made his way to the training grounds behind, the palace. He found Kelra there wearing a light armor suit and holding two curved blades. She moved fast, spinning and striking against a training robot. Her focus was sharp, her anger even sharper. He waited until she stopped. What do you want now? She asked, wiping sweat from her forehead. To talk, he said calmly. She rolled her eyes. Figures. Cole stepped forward slowly. I'm not here to win an argument. I just want us to survive this with some kind of peace. Kelra tossed one of her blades aside and picked up a water bottle. Peace? Is that what this is to you? A mission? It was, he admitted. At first. Earth needed an ally. Zerelia offered a chance. I came here to stop a war. And now? She asked, raising an eyebrow. Now it's more complicated, he said, because you're not just some name in a file. You're real. You're proud. You're angry. And you're being forced into something against your will. She looked at him, surprised. I'm not here to control you, he continued. If there were a way to change the law, I'd do it. But until then, I want to at least treat you with respect. Kelra crossed her arms. Respect? You don't even know me. Then let me try, Cole replied. Tell me what matters to you. What you fight for. She stared at him for a long moment. Then finally she spoke. I fight for choice, she said. For freedom. When I was a child, I was always told what to wear, where to sit, what to say. I broke the rules. I joined the Warrior Academy. I earned my rank without help from my title. And now, after everything I fought for, I'm told I must marry a stranger? I get it, Cole said. It's not fair. No, she said. It's not. They stood there in silence. Then Kelra added, But you spoke to me with honesty, not as a prince, not as a diplomat, just as a human. He gave her a small nod. Because that's all I am. She looked away for a moment, then whispered, Fine, I'll give you a chance, but don't expect me to play the role of a quiet second bride. I wouldn't dare, Cole said with a smile. For the first time, she almost smiled back. Over the next few days, Cole joined both sisters in their royal duties. With Alrea, he attended meetings with the council, helping form new peace strategies between species. With Kelra, he trained in the arena, watching how she taught young warriors discipline and courage. He began to understand their world. Alrea ruled with wisdom. Kelra led with strength, and both carried deep love for their people, even if they showed it differently. The wedding date grew closer. Preparations spread across the palace. Special robes were tailored, gifts arrived from other planets, and the council members gathered to witness the first human-Xerelian union. But even with the public excitement, rumors swirled in the shadows. A secret group, those who opposed any alliance with Earth, were not pleased. Some whispered of sabotage, others of protest. Cole sensed danger, but he focused on the good. For now. The night before the wedding, Kelra came to his chambers. She didn't wear armor, just a simple blue robe. She looked tired but calm. I wanted to say something, she said. Cole stood. Go ahead. She took a deep breath. I still don't like this. I still don't like being forced into anything. But I've seen how you treat my sister. I've seen how you treat me. You didn't try to change who I am. You didn't make promises you can't keep. I wouldn't, he said softly. So? She looked him in the eye. I won't run. I'll stand beside you at the ceremony. Not because of the law, but because deep down I believe you won't make me regret it. Cole nodded. That means more than you know. As she turned to leave, she paused at the door. You're still going to have to earn my trust. Every day. I can do that, he said. She smiled, just a little. We'll see. As the palace lights dimmed, Cole stood by the window, staring at the stars. A human and two alien sisters, brought together by war, bound by law, and held together, maybe, by something more. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but for the first time he felt ready. The morning of the wedding arrived with golden sunlight stretching across the sky domes of Xerelia. The palace was alive with color, flags of different nations, glowing flowers, and music that floated in the air like gentle waves. It was the most watched event in the quadrant, history in the making. Cole stood in front of a large mirror, adjusting the ceremonial robe gifted to him by the Xerelian Council. It shimmered with tiny crystals sewn into the fabric. He didn't feel like a prince or a hero, just a man trying to hold peace together. A soft knock on the door made him turn. Princess Alrea stepped inside. She wore a graceful silver dress woven with strands of glowing silk. Her eyes lit up when she saw him. You look very human, she teased with a smile. And you look like a goddess, he replied sincerely. She blushed lightly. Are you ready? Cole took a deep breath. I think so. As ready as a man can be before marrying two powerful alien sisters. Alrea laughed softly. Kaelra is already waiting in the temple. She told me not to touch your tie. Cole raised a brow. She said that? She said you should learn to do it yourself like a real warrior. Sounds like her. Alrea walked over and gently fixed the edge of his collar anyway. Outside the palace, thousands had gathered. Ambassadors, soldiers, citizens, and even children from different planets. The royal temple stood at the center of the grand courtyard, built with stone older than the empire itself. Cole stood at the front, beside the twin thrones, waiting. Kaelra entered first. She wore deep blue ceremonial armor. Not a dress. Not something soft. Her hair was tied back tightly, her face serious, but her eyes met Cole's for a moment. She gave a respectful nod. He returned it. Alrea entered next, and the crowd stood in silence, awed by her beauty and calm presence. The two sisters stood side by side, and the priest of Xyrelia raised his hands. This union, the priest began, is not just a marriage. It is a bridge between worlds, a symbol of peace, a promise that even in difference, harmony can be found. Cole's heart pounded as the priest motioned for the vows. I, Cole Heart of Earth, take you both as partners, he said, not just for duty, but with the hope that we can walk forward together. Stronger. Alrea stepped forward. And I accept this bond with a heart full of hope. Kaelra hesitated. The crowd watched. She looked at her sister, then at Cole. May not believe in fairy tales, she said clearly, but I do believe in loyalty and I do not break promises. I accept. The priest lifted the ceremonial rings, metal bands made of rare Xyrelian stone, and prepared to speak the final words. But then, boom. The ground shook. An explosion blasted through one of the palace gates. Screams broke out across the courtyard. The guards raised shields. Panic spread like fire. From the sky, small attack ships darted downward. Fast, black, and silent. Get down, Kaelra shouted, pulling Cole behind one of the temple pillars. Alrea ran to the side, protected by her guards. Another blast hit the outer wall. The wedding had turned into a war zone. Who is it? Cole shouted. Kaelra activated a communicator. Unknown ships, no formal ID, likely extremists. They're targeting the Alliance. The attackers weren't trying to conquer, they were trying to humiliate. To ruin the Union before it could be completed. Kaelra's warrior instincts kicked in. She grabbed a nearby guard's weapon and fired at the incoming ships, her aim perfect. Cole, she yelled. Stay low, don't play hero. He ducked and moved toward Alrea, who was being pulled to safety by her royal guards. Chaos surrounded them, blasts, screaming, and the sound of laser fire. Then one of the attackers landed. A tall alien in black armor stepped out, aiming a weapon directly at Cole. Step away from the princess, he shouted, before Cole could move. Kaelra leapt between them and knocked the weapon from the attacker's hands with a single swift strike. They fought, fast and hard. Kaelra dodged a punch, slammed her elbow into the alien's chest, then spun and kicked him to the ground. Another attacker came from behind, but Cole saw it. Behind you, he shouted. Kaelra turned just in time to block the attack and push the enemy back with a shock pulse from her armor. The guards joined the fight. One by one, the attackers were defeated, captured, or forced to retreat. Their ships flew off, leaving smoke and wreckage behind. Silence returned slowly. The crowd was shaken. But the people had seen something important. They saw Kaelra fight not for herself but to protect her sister. To protect Cole. They saw a human stand beside Xyrelian royalty without fear. They saw unity. Later, in the royal chamber, Cole sat on a bench while medics treated a small scratch on his shoulder. Kaelra stood near the window, arms crossed, watching. The courtyard being cleared. You all right? She asked without turning. I've had worse, but that was my first wedding ambush. She smirked. Welcome to Xyrelia. He looked at her. You saved me. You warned me first. They shared a moment of silence. Then Kaelra said, they wanted to stop this union, but now, they've made it stronger. Cole nodded. Because everyone saw who you really are. She turned to him. And what about you, human? Still want to marry a war-trained princess after all that? He smiled. More than ever. Kaelra walked closer. Then maybe this strange law wasn't such a curse. From the doorway, Alrea entered, her expression calm despite everything. The council wants to proceed, she said. They believe the people need this union now more than ever. But not today, Kaelra added. Let them breathe. Cole agreed. We'll do it right. Together. When everyone is ready. That night, news of the attack and the couple's bravery spread across the stars. What began as an arranged bond had turned into something unexpected. Genuine trust, real unity, and maybe, just maybe, love in its first form. Cole stood between two sisters, one full of wisdom and light, the other fire and courage. He had come for peace, but he was beginning to find something even greater. The sun rose slowly over the shining towers of Zerelia, casting long golden shadows across the palace grounds. The aftermath of the attack was still fresh. Damaged walls, scorched marble floors, and nervous whispers filled the halls. But one thing had changed completely: the people's view of the Union. Where once there had been doubt, now there was belief. Cole had not run, Kaelra had not hesitated, and Alrea had shown quiet strength through it all. Inside the royal council chamber, an emergency session was held. Leaders of Zerelia sat around a high circular table, their expressions serious. Queen Elvia sat at the head, her fingers pressed together in thought. Kaelra and Alrea stood behind her. Cole sat on the side, unfamiliar with the strict customs, but included out of respect. One of the council members spoke sharply. The attack proves that not all agree with the ancient laws. Perhaps it is time to reconsider the clause of dual marriage. Several members nodded in agreement. One added, Kaelra's strength is respected across our military, but forcing her into a role she did not choose could weaken public trust in this union. Kaelra remained quiet, her face unreadable. She had trained for battle, not politics. Queen Elvia finally turned to her daughters. What do you say? Alrea spoke first. I chose this marriage, and I stand by it. The queen nodded, then looked to Kaelra. Kaelra looked at the council, then at Cole. I did not choose this, she said clearly. But I did not walk away, even when I had the chance. I don't ask to be freed from duty. I ask to be seen not as a second bride, but as myself. Cole stood up. His voice was firm but calm. If it's allowed, I'd like to say something. The room went still. You brought me here to build peace between Earth and Zerelia, Cole said. But I didn't expect peace would come through marriage. Some council members smiled softly. He continued, I agreed to marry Princess Alrea. Then I was told I must also marry Princess Kaelra. I accepted the law because I respect your traditions, but no law should be stronger than someone's choice. Kaelra's eyes widened slightly. She hadn't expected him to say that. Cole stepped beside her. Kaelra is brave, honest, and loyal. If she chooses to walk away from this law, I'll support her. And if she chooses to stay, I will respect that with all I have. Queen Elvia looked at the council members. Their eyes shifted among each other. Finally, the queen said, Very well. Let the council vote. One by one, they gave their decisions. After a long pause, the verdict was announced. By majority, the queen declared, The old law will remain, but not as a command. It will now be a choice. The room filled with quiet murmurs. This had never happened before. A centuries-old law changed because of a human's words. Later that day, Kaelra stood in the garden, watching two young soldiers train with wooden staffs. She didn't speak, just observed, her mind full of questions. Cole walked up beside her. You can go now, you know. You're free to leave this union. Kaelra didn't answer at first. Then she looked at him. You really meant what you said? Yes, he replied. Every word. She took a deep breath. I thought you were just a smooth-talking diplomat at first, but you're different. I try to be honest. You are, she said softly. And that's rare in our world. A gentle wind passed through the garden. I've thought about leaving, she said. About going back to the training grounds, leading my own unit again. No politics, no marriage, just freedom. Cole waited, letting her speak at her own pace. But then I asked myself, why am I still here? He looked at her. What answer did you find? She turned to him fully. Because I believe you can make this work. Not just the marriage, but the peace. You're not like the others, and maybe I want to see where this goes. Cole smiled. So what now? Kaelra crossed her arms. Now you work twice as hard. You've got 2 wives to impress. He laughed. Fair enough. Over the next few days, the palace changed. The damage was repaired, and the people's hearts healed even faster. News channels across the galaxy reported how a human helped rewrite Xyrelian law with simple words and true respect. Alrea and Kaelra, though very different, began appearing together more often, side by side, showing the world that their bond had grown stronger. And Cole, caught between both, began to understand what unity really meant. It wasn't about obeying old laws or pleasing powerful people. It was about listening, about choosing each other, again and again. The new ceremony was set quietly, without the noise of politics or media. Just close friends, loyal guards, and family. In a candle-lit temple, smaller but older than the grand court, the 3 stood once more before the priest. This time, no explosions. No speeches, just soft voices. I, Cole Hart, choose both of you. Not because I must, but because I want to. Alrea, you give me hope. Kaelra, you give me strength. Together I found something I never expected. Peace, not through power, but through trust. Alrea placed a hand over his. And I choose you. You saw me not as a princess, but as a person. Kaelra added quietly. And I choose you. But remember, I'll still challenge you every day. He smiled. That's why I need you. The priest said the final words, and the light from the sacred flame touched their joined hands. They were married, not by law, not by politics, but by choice. That night, as the stars blinked softly in the dark sky, Cole stood at the palace balcony. He could hear laughter from the celebration below, music, dancing, and joy. Kaelra joined him, a drink in her hand. She didn't say anything at first. Then she said, So, how does it feel to be part of a royal story? He chuckled. Still, getting used to it. Alrea appeared next, wrapping a shawl around her shoulders. She leaned against Cole. We did it, she said. We did, he replied. The 3 stood together, watching the stars. The human, the wise princess, the warrior sister, a bond once forced by law, now chosen by heart. And in that moment, Cole knew. The future wasn't just about peace between worlds, it was about finding balance between duty and desire, strength and softness, freedom and unity. He didn't come to change the galaxy, but somehow by being himself he already had. 1 week after the quiet wedding, the palace of Xyrelia had returned to full life. Repairs were complete, celebrations had ended, and officials from across the galaxy had returned to their home worlds. But the talk of the event hadn't faded. Everyone still whispered about the human who married 2 alien sisters and changed an ancient law in the process. Cole, however, had no time to enjoy the attention. His days were now filled with new responsibilities, diplomatic tasks, and learning. Xyrelian traditions. He was not just Earth's ambassador anymore. He was family to Xyrelia's royal house. But more than that, he was now part of a strange and unique bond, one that tested his patience, his heart, and his strength every single day. One morning, Cole sat at a round table in the royal strategy room, reviewing plans for the new Earth-Xyrelia Joint Peace Force. He had worked on it for days with the help of Princess Alrea, who sat across from him. We need to send training officers to Earth next month, she said. and assign one of ours to the Human Defense Council. I agree, Cole replied, flipping through a data screen. We'll need someone who understands both diplomacy and battle tactics. Alrea looked up at him, eyes shining. You mean Kael'ra? He smiled. Exactly. As if summoned by name, Kael'ra walked in wearing her usual light armor. I assume I'm being sent somewhere dangerous? Cole stood and handed her a datapad. Earth. You'll be leading training missions. No danger. Unless you count Earth's strange food. Kael'ra raised an eyebrow. I'm not interested in food. Cole grinned. But Earth's warriors will be interested in your skills. Kael'ra took the pad and nodded. I'll go, but only if I get full control of the training program. Done, Cole said. We trust your judgment. Alrea leaned back in her chair watching the two of them. She had seen the way Kael'ra slowly started to open up. Less guarded, more thoughtful. It wasn't romance between them, not yet, but it was something even stronger. Trust. That night, a message arrived from Earth. The Human Council invited Cole and both princesses to visit for the first formal ceremony between the two planets. It would be the largest public event since the treaty was signed. As preparations began, Cole noticed the palace staff acting nervous. When he asked why, a young attendant finally admitted the truth. Some believe this trip is dangerous, sir. There are whispers. Some factions on Earth may not accept the Union. Cole's jaw tightened. We've faced danger before. We'll face it again. He immediately called a meeting with Alrea and Kael'ra. Are you sure about this? Alrea asked. You know Earth better than anyone. They'll respect you once they hear you speak, Cole said. But yes, some will try to push back. Not everyone accepts peace so easily. Kael'ra didn't hesitate. Let them try. If they threaten you, they'll answer to me. Cole smiled. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. When the royal ship landed on Earth, thousands of people had gathered in the capital's sky, plaza. Security was tight, but the mood was hopeful. Banners waved. Children held up signs that read, Welcome, Zyrelia. Cole stepped out first, followed by Alrea in a soft gold robe and Kael'ra in sharp black armor. The contrast between the two sisters made them unforgettable. As they walked the carpet, reporters shouted questions, cameras flashed. Cole held both their hands, one on each side, and didn't let go. At the stage, the president of Earth gave a powerful speech. Today we honor the courage of one man and the honor of two women. Together, they proved peace is possible. Even when traditions clash, even when fear stands in the way. Cole stepped forward next. I came to Zyrelia to avoid war. I never imagined I'd find family and purpose and two partners who taught me what strength really means. Earth and Zyrelia are different, but we share something now that can never be broken. The crowd stood and cheered. For the first time, Earth and Zyrelia truly felt like allies. Later that evening, in a quiet Earth garden lit by soft blue lights, the three sat together on a stone bench. The stars above looked different here, closer, warmer. Cole stared at them for a while before speaking. You know, I thought this would be harder. Kael'ra smirked. It still might be. Alrea laughed. She's right, you're not done yet. Cole looked at them both. I know this wasn't the life either of you planned, and it wasn't mine either, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. Alrea leaned her head against his shoulder. You helped us find each other again. Kael'ra added. You didn't just marry two sisters, you united them. He looked at them both. So, are we okay now? Kael'ra replied without hesitation. You're not just okay, human. You're ours. Weeks passed. Kael'ra began her training program on Earth. Soldiers admired her skill and discipline. She slowly gained respect, even from those who doubted her. Alrea worked with the council, helping design new cultural exchange programs and medical sharing agreements. Her grace and wisdom impressed everyone. And Cole? He became the voice that connected both worlds. He was no longer just a diplomat or a husband. He was a symbol of what could happen when people listened, truly listened to each other. One day, during a peace summit, a young student asked Cole a simple question during an open forum. Wasn't it scary? Marrying two alien women from such a powerful world? Cole laughed, then answered honestly. Yes, it was terrifying at first. But fear is the first door you open when you want to understand someone else. The crowd clapped, and from the side of the stage, both Alrea and Kalra smiled with pride. Epilogue. In the years that followed, Earth and Xyrelia became the heart of a growing alliance. Other species joined, inspired by the strange union that once seemed impossible. The story of the human who married two alien sisters was told in schools, in books, and across stars. But the true story wasn't about law, or war, or marriage. It was about choice. 3 people, different in every way, had chosen trust. And from that choice, a new future was born.